This question would be non-calculator. So if this question appeared on the non-calculator part, what you would think to yourself is either those values have to be on my unit circle or it has to be not possible. We start off the same way. We start off by trying to get cos by itself. We have a cos squared this time. This isn't one that we're going to factor because we just have cos squared. So when you just have x squared, you would get that by itself. So first of all, I'm going to divide by 2. Because once you get the thing squared by itself, how do you get rid of the squared? Square root. And what are some of you going to forget when you square root both sides? Some of you are going to forget the plus or minus. I wish I had statistics. So like sometimes they say in classes, really hard classes in university, they say look to your left, look to your right. One of you is not going to pass this course. They say that right at the beginning to scare you into studying harder. I don't know if it works or not, but that's very typical. So I don't know if I wish I had statistics on plus or minus. Look to your left, look to your right. One of you is going to forget the plus or minus. I'm not sure. But some of you will. Okay? I think everybody has forgotten it at least once in their math career. At least. Probably multiple times. I know I can't even count how many times I forgot it when I was in high school. Okay, anyways, at this point, you're like square root of 1/2. It doesn't look like anything on my pie plate, the way that I wrote things on my pie plate, so I might have to simplify this a little bit. Well, if I have a square root of a fraction, that's the square root of the top. Well, square root of 1 is 1 over the square root of the bottom. Be 1 over the square root of 2. Now, some of you might recognize that value, but others still would say, I don't recognize that on my pie plate. And at this point, you start making up mathematics. Okay? Making up mathematics is you go, well, maybe it's something to do with half. I have half on my pie plate, so I'll use the half instead and forget about the square root and forget about the plus or minus and make up some math because it's not working well. That's usually not a good idea. It doesn't usually end well. But another thing you could do with this is you could rationalize the denominator. So if we multiply top and bottom by root 2, then we get cos of x equals plus or minus root 2 over 2. And you're like, yeah, that is on my unit circle. And so if we solve it between 0 and 2 pi, oh, it's in degrees. If we solve it between 0 and 360 degrees, that's our pi over 4, our 45-degree family. And it would be all 4 quadrants. What did we call that before? A family gathering? And you get all 4 of them. It doesn't ask for the general solution. It just asks between 0 and 360. So this is our final answer. Now I'm going to get you to do 5 and 11, but I want you to turn to question 5. And we're going to change the wording of the question. So for question 5, instead of verifying, and all verifying means is that you would plug in that answer into the equation and see if it works, I want you to solve for x between 0 and 2 pi for each of those. Before we do that, we are going to do question example 4 together.